It's dinner time, and we're on Exodus 33. And Jehovah said to Moshe, "Come, go up from here, you and the people whom you have brought out of the land of Mizraim, to the land of which I swore to Abraham, to Yitzhak, and to Yaakov, saying, to your seed I give it. And I shall send my messenger before you, and I shall drive out the Canaanite, and the Amorite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite, to a land flowing with milk and honey. For I do not go up in your midst because you are a stiff-necked people, lest I consume you on the way." And when the people heard this evil word, they mourned, and no one put on his ornaments. And Jehovah said to Moshe, "Say to the children of Israel, you are a stiff-necked people. Should I go up in your midst, for 1 moment I shall consume you. And now, take off your ornaments, and I shall know what to do to you." So the children of Israel took off their ornaments at Mount Horeb, and Moshe took his tent and pitched it outside the camp, far from the camp, and called it the tent of appointment. And it came to be that everyone who sought Jehovah went out to the tent of appointment, which was outside the camp. And it came to be, whenever Moshe went out to the tent, that all the people rose, and each man stood at his tent door and watched Moshe until he entered the tent. And it came to be when Moshe entered the tent that the column of cloud descended and stood at the door of the tent, and he spoke with Moshe. And all the people saw the column of cloud standing at the tent door, and all the people rose and bowed themselves, each one at the door of his tent. Thus Jehovah spoke to Moshe face to face, as a man speaks to his friend, and he would return to the camp, but his servant Yehoshua, son of Nun, a young man, did not leave the tent. And Moshe said to Jehovah, "See, you are saying to me, 'Bring up this people,' but you have not made known to me whom you would send with me, though you have said, 'I know you by name,' and you have also found favor in my eyes. And now, please, if I have found favor in your eyes, please show me your way and let me know you, so that I find favor in your eyes. And consider that this nation is your people." And he said, "My presence does go, and I shall give you rest." And he said to him, "If your presence is not going, do not lead us from here. For how then shall it be known that I have found favor in your eyes, I and your people, except you go with us? Then we shall be distinguished, I and your people, from all the people who are upon the face of the earth." And Jehovah said to Moshe, "Even this word you have spoken I shall do, for you have found favor in my eyes, and I know you by name." Then he said, "Please show me your esteem." And he said, "I shall cause all my goodness to pass before you, and I shall proclaim the name of Jehovah before you, and I shall favor him whom I favor, and I shall have compassion on him who I have compassion." And he said, "You are unable to see my face, for no man does see me and live." And Jehovah said, "See, there is a place with me, and you shall stand on the rock. And it shall be, while my esteem passes by, that I shall put you in the cleft of the rock, and cover you with my hand while I pass by. Then I shall take away my hand, and you shall see my back, but my face shall not be seen." And Jehovah said to Moshe, "Cut 2 tablets of stone like the first ones, and I shall write on these tablets the words that were on the first tablets which you broke. And be ready in the morning, Then you shall come up in the morning to Mount Sinai, and present yourself to me there, on the top of the mountain. And let no man come up with you, and let no man be seen in all the mountain, and let not even the flock or the herd feed in front of that mountain. And he cut 2 tablets of stone like the first ones. And Moshe rose early in the morning, and went up Mount Sinai, as Jehovah had commanded him, and he took 2 tablets of stone in his hand. And Jehovah came down in the cloud, and stood with him there, and proclaimed the name, Yehovah. And Yehovah passed before him, and proclaimed, Yehovah, Yehovah, an El, compassionate, and showing favor, patient, and great in loving commitment and truth, watching over loving commitment for thousands, forgiving crookedness and transgression and sin, but by no means leaving unpunished, visiting the crookedness of the fathers upon the children and the children's children to the 3rd and 4th generation. And Moshe hurried and bowed himself toward the earth, and did obeisance, and said, If now I have found favor in your eyes, O Jehovah, I pray, let Jehovah go in our midst, even though we are a stiff-necked people, and forgive our crookedness and our sin, and take us as your inheritance. And he said, See, I am making a covenant before all your people. I am going to do wonders, such as has not been done in all the earth, nor in any nation. And all the people among whom you are shall see the work of Jehovah, for what I am doing with you is awesome. Guard what I command you today. See, I am driving out before you the Amorite and the Canaanite and the Hittite and the Perizzite and the Hivite and the Jebusite. Guard yourself, lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land where you are going, lest it be a snare in your midst. But break down their slaughter places, and smash their pillars, and cut down their Asherim. For you do not bow yourself to another mighty one, for Jehovah, whose name is jealous, is a jealous El. Lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they whore after their mighty ones, and slaughter to their mighty ones. And one of them invites you, and you eat of his slaughterings, and you take his daughter for your sons, and his daughters whore after their mighty ones, and make your sons whore after their mighty ones. Do not make a molded mighty one for yourselves. Guard the festival of Matzot. For 7 days you eat unleavened bread, as I commanded you, in the appointed time of the new moon of Abib, because in the new moon of Abib you came out of Mizraim. Everyone opening the womb is mine, and every male firstborn among your livestock, whether bull or sheep. But the firstborn of a donkey you ransom with a lamb. And if you do not ransom, then you shall break his neck. Every firstborn of your sons you shall ransom, and they shall not appear before me empty-handed. 6 days you work, but on the 7th day you rest. In plowing time and in harvest you rest. And perform the festival of Shavuot for yourself, of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the festival of ingathering at the turn of the year. 3 turns in all year, all your men are to appear before the Master Jehovah, the Elohim of Yisrael. For I dispossess nations before you, and shall enlarge your borders, and let no one covet your land when you go up to appear before Jehovah, your Elohim 3 times in the year. Do not slay the blood of my slaughtering with leaven, and do not let the slaughtering of the festival of the Pesach remain until morning. Bring the first of the first fruits of your land to the house of Jehovah, your Elohim. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. And Jehovah said to Moshe, Write these words, for according to the mouth of these words, I have made a covenant between you, with you and with Yisrael. And he was there with Jehovah. 40 days he did not drink water, and he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 words. And it came to be, when Moshe came down from Mount Sinai, while the 2 tablets of the witness were in Moshe's hand, when he came down from the mountain, that Moshe did not know that the skin of his face shone, since he had spoken with him. And Aharon and all the children of Israel looked at Moshe and saw the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come near him. And Moshe called out to them, and Aharon and all the rulers in the congregation returned to him, and Moshe spoke to them. And afterward all the children of Israel came near, and he commanded them that Jehovah had spoken with him on Mount Sinai. And when Moshe ended speaking with them, he put a veil on his face. But whenever Moshe went in before Jehovah to speak with him, he would remove the veil until he came out. And when he came out, he spoke to the children of Israel what he had been commanded. And the children of Israel would see the face of Moshe, that the skin of Moshe's face shone, and Moshe would put the veil on his face again until he went in to speak with him. And Moshe assembled all the congregation of the children of Israel and said to them, These are the words which Jehovah had commanded you to do. Work is done for 6 days, but on the 7th day it shall be set apart to you, a Sabbath of rest to Jehovah. Anyone doing work on it is put to death. Do not kindle a fire in any of your dwellings on the Sabbath day. And Moshe spoke to all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, This is the word which Jehovah commanded, saying, Take from among you a contribution to Jehovah. Everyone whose heart so moves him, let him bring it as a contribution to Jehovah, gold and silver and bronze, and blue and purple and scarlet material, and fine linen and goat's hair, and ram's skin dyed red, and fine leather and acacia wood, and oil for the light, and spices for the anointing oil and for the sweet incense, and shoham stones, and stones to be set in the shoulder garment in the breastplate. And let all the wise-hearted among you come and make all that Jehovah has commanded. The dwelling place, its tent and its covering, its hooks and its boards, its bars, its columns and its sockets, the ark and its poles, the lid of atonement and the veil of the covering, the table and its poles, and all its utensils, and the showbread, and the lampstand for the light, and its utensils, and its lamps, and the oil for light, and the incense slaughter place, and its poles, and the anointing oil, and the sweet incense, and the covering for the door at the entrance of the dwelling place, the slaughter place of ascending offering with its bronze grating, its poles, and all its utensils, the basin and its stand, the screens of the courtyard, its columns and their sockets, and the covering for the gate of the courtyard, the pegs of the dwelling place, and the pegs of the courtyard and their cords, the woven garments to do service in the set-apart place, the set-apart garments for Aharon, the priest of the garments, and of his sons to serve as priests. And all the congregation of the children of Israel withdrew from the presence of Moshe, and everyone whose heart lifted him up, and everyone whose spirit moved him, came, and they brought the contribution to Jehovah, for the work of the tent of appointment, and for all its service, and for the set-apart garments. And they came, both men and women, all whose hearts moved them. and brought earrings and nose rings and rings and necklaces, all gold goods, every one, who made a wave offering of gold to Jehovah. And every man with whom was found blue and purple and scarlet material, and fine linen and goat's hair and ram's skin dyed red and fine leather, brought them. Every one who made a contribution to Jehovah of silver or bronze brought it, and every one with whom was found acacia wood for any work of the service brought it. And all the wise-hearted women spun yarn with their hands, and brought what they had spun, the blue and the purple and the scarlet material and the fine linen. And all the women whose hearts lifted up in wisdom spun the goat's hair. And the rulers brought shoham stones, and the stones to be set in the shoulder garment, and in the breastplate, and the spices and the oil for the light, and for the anointing oil, and for the sweet incense. The children of Israel brought a voluntary offering to Jehovah, all the men and women whose hearts moved them to bring all kinds of work, which Jehovah, by the hand of Moshe, had commanded to be done. And Moshe said to the children of Israel, See, Jehovah has called by name Betzalel, son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Yehudah, and he has filled with the spirit of Elohim in wisdom, in understanding, and in knowledge, and in all work, to make designs, to work in gold, and in silver, and in bronze, and in cutting of stones for setting, and in carving wood, and to work in all workmanship of design. And he has put in his heart the ability to teach in him and Oholiab, son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan. He has filled them with skill to do all work of the engraver and the designer and embroider, in blue and in purple, and in scarlet material and in fine linen, and a weaver doing any work, and makers of designs. And Bezalel and Oholiab, and every wise-hearted man in whom Jehovah had given wisdom and understanding, to know how to do all work for the service of the set-apart place, shall do according to all that Jehovah had commanded. And Moshe called Bezalel and Oholiab, and every wise-hearted man in whose heart Jehovah had given wisdom, every one whose heart lifted him up, to come and do the work. And they received from Moshe all the contribution which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of making the set-apart place. But they still brought to him voluntary offerings every morning. So all the craftsmen who were doing all the work of the set-apart place came, each from the work he was doing. And they spoke to Moshe, saying, The people bring much more than enough for the service of the work which Jehovah commanded us to do. Then Moshe commanded, and they sent this word throughout the camp, saying, Let neither man nor woman do any more work for the contribution of the set-apart place. And the people were withheld from bringing, for what they had was enough for all the work to be done, more than enough. Then all the wise-hearted ones among them who worked on the dwelling place, made 10 curtains woven of fine linen, and blue and purple and scarlet material. They made them with cherubim and work of the skilled workmen. The length of each curtain was 28 cubits, and the width of each curtain was 4 cubits, all the curtains having one measure. And he joined 5 curtains, one to another, and the other 5 curtains he joined one to another, and he made loops of blue on the edge of the end curtain of one set. The same he did on the edge of the end curtain of the other set. 50 loops he made on one curtain, and 50 loops he made on the edge of the end curtain of the second set. The loops held one curtain to another. And he made 50 hooks of gold, and joined the curtains to each other with the hooks, and the dwelling place became one. And he made curtains of goat's hair for the tent Over the dwelling place he made 11 curtains. The length of each curtain was 30 cubits, and the width of each curtain was 4 cubits, the 11 curtains having one measure. And he joined 5 curtains by themselves and 6 curtains by themselves. And he made 50 loops on the edge of the end curtain in one set, and 50 loops he made on the edge of the curtain of the second set. And he made 50 bronze hooks to join the tent to be one. And he made a covering for the tent of ram skins dyed red, and a covering of the fine leather above that. And for the dwelling place he made boards of acacia wood standing up. The length of each board was 10 cubits, and the width of each board 1.5 cubits. Each board had 2 tenons for binding one to another. So he did to all the boards of the dwelling place. And he made boards for the dwelling place, 20 boards for the south side. And he made 40 sockets of silver to go under the tent, 20 boards, and 2 sockets under each of the boards, for its 2 tenons. And for the other side of the dwelling place, for the north side, he made 20 boards, and there 40 sockets of silver. 2 sockets under the one board, and 2 sockets under the other board. And he made 6 boards for the west side of the dwelling place. And he made 2 boards for the 2 back corners of the dwelling place. And they were doubled beneath, and similarly they were complete to the top by 1 ring. So he did to both of them for the 2 corners. And there were 8 boards, and there silver sockets, 16 sockets, 2 sockets under each of the boards. And he made bars of acacia wood, 5 for the boards on the one of the dwelling place, and 5 bars for the boards on the other side of the dwelling place, and 5 bars for the boards on the dwelling place at the rear westward. And he made the middle bar to pass through the boards from one end to the other. And he overlaid the boards with gold, and their rings he made of gold. And behold, for the bars, to be holders for the bars, and overlaid the bars with gold. And he made a veil of blue and purple and scarlet material, and fine-worked linen. It was made with cherubim, the work of a skilled workman. And he made 4 columns of acacia wood for it, and overlaid them with gold, with their hooks of gold. And he cast 4 sockets of silver for them. And he made a covering for the tent door of blue and purple and scarlet material, and fine woven linen made by a weaver. And his 5 columns with their hooks, and he overlaid their tops, and their rings with gold, and their 5 sockets were bronze.